Hello, good afternoon everyone. Sorry for
Good
late.
afternoon, ma'am.
So actually what we were discussing in the last lecture, we have started with the countably compact space. Before that, we should know what is a compact space. Okay. I hope everyone remember the definition of a compact space. For
Yes,
every
ma'am.
open cover, we should able to find out the finite subcover. And if this condition holds, we can say that the given set or given space is a compact space. Okay. Now we'll start with the countably compact space, and we have seen the definition of countably compact space. What is the definition? First, your space X2. X2 is a topological space. Okay. Initially, X2 is a topological space, and the X2 is said to be countably compact space if for any infinite subset E of X has a limit point in X. E is any infinite subset of X, and this infinite subset of X has a limit point in X. Okay. So hence, this is what a definition of countably compact space. In the next, we have seen every compact space is a countably compact space. Okay, let us see this theorem. What is a statement? Every compact space is countably compact. Every compact space is countable compact space. Okay, so what is given to us in this? We are provided that X2 is a compact space. Okay, when we can use a definition of a compact space, if we are able to find out one open cover, and then we can apply the definition of a compact space that every open cover has a finite subcover, right? So what is our aim to prove that? Our aim is to prove that X2 is countably compact space. Okay, so we have to prove that X2 is a countably compact space. So, if possible, what we will assume? We will assume that X2 is not a countably compact space. So, what do you mean by not a countably compact space? First, what is the meaning of a compact space? We should have for any infinite subset E of X, it has a limit point in X. Okay, we have a limit point in X, right? So, what do you mean by X2 is not a countably compact space? Because we are going to prove this result with the help of a contradiction that if possible, okay, if possible, X2 is not a countably compact space. So, what do you mean by not a countably compact space? For all infinite subset E of X, we should have a limit point of E in X, which is a meaning of countably compact space. But not a countably compact space means what? There exists at least one infinite subset E of X. There exists at least one infinite subset E of X such that what such that derived set of E is empty. Why I'm saying derived set of E is empty set? Because if I want to say not a countably compact space, not a countably compact space means what? I want to say that there is no limit point of E is in X. If it is not having a limit point in X, it means that it do not have a limit point anywhere, right? Because if you want to have a limit point, it should be there in X, where X is nothing but your universal set. So if it is not having a limit point in X, it means that derived set of E is empty set, correct? So what was our assumption? If possible, the X2 is not a countably compact space. So if X2 is not a countably compact space, instead of having for for all infinite E's subset of X, we are going to select at least one. Okay, for contradiction, we have at least one, there exists E subset of X, which is having a condition that derived set of E is empty set. Okay, so what do you mean by derived set of E is equal to empty set? Each point of X belongs to capital X, each point of X will not be a limit point of E, will not be a limit point of E. Now here simply we have to use a definition of a not a limit point. Okay, what will be the definition of a not a limit point? Because we have seen the definition of a limit point for all open set G containing that point X, the intersection of G with the set minus that point is non-empty. Okay, so except X we should have at least one point of E other than X. If it holds, then we say that E is having a X is a limit point of E. But here we say that every point of capital X is not a limit point of E. So just we have to use a definition of not a limit point. Instead of for all open set G, we can say there exists at least one open set G which contain the point X in such a way that intersection of G with E minus the point X is empty, right? So what is a possibility for this statement? We have seen this type of a possibility that the G intersection E is isol singleton X or it is empty set, right? There are two possibilities, either G intersection E is singleton X or it is empty set. Okay, now as we are provided that X2 is a compact space, now to use definition of a compact space, what we will do, as we don't know what is X actually, right? So what we will do, X we can write it as a union of all singleton X where X belongs to capital X, right? Now for every element of X we can find out the open set. Here we have shown the existence that for all there exists at least one open set G which contain the point X. So here we can say that this all singleton X is a subset of union of all the open set G containing the point X. Okay, so here you can say that X has a open cover, right? Now here we have shown the existence of a open cover for your X, but we know that since X2 is a compact space, so if X2 is a compact space, we can use a definition of a compact space that for this open cover I can have a finite subcover. Hence I can write here this is what an open cover Gx. I can say that now Gxi where I runs from 1 to n. This is what the finite subcover for this one. That is, I can write X can be written as union of all Gxi where I runs from 1 to n. Okay, for every open cover we can have a finite subcover. Now what is given to us? E is any infinite subset of X. So I can write E as E intersection X. But here what is X? X we have written as union of all Gxi. So E intersection with union of all Gxi where I runs from 1 to n. Right? Now as E is independent of your summation I runs from 1 to n. So that's why you can write union of I runs from 1 to n E intersection with Gxi. Okay, what do you mean by this? In the last lecture also we have discussed. E is equal to I runs from 1 to n E intersection with Gxi.
E is infinite.
Right. We have E is a infinite set, but here we are getting E is a finite set.
Finite.
So that's why we got a contradiction, and with the help of this contradiction itself, we can say that this contradiction arises due to the wrong assumption that, if possible, we have considered your X2 is not a countably compact space. So that's why what will be the correct assumption or what is a proof? X2 is our countably compact space. Okay. Any doubt for this one?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So what the remark you can write from this one is every compact space is countably compact, but every countably compact space need not be compact space. Correct? The example for you people, it will be x is equal to set of natural number, and one set I will give you. This will be homework for you people. Simply you have to check whether the converse statement is also true. Okay, we have just proved that every compact space is a countably compact, but you have to check the reverse statement that whether every countably compact space is a compact space. For that I will give you the example also. You have to just cross check whether this is a compact space, whether it is countably compact. Okay. Now let us start with the second theorem. What we have to prove? Hereditary property related to countably compact space. Okay. What we will prove, being a countably compact space is closed hereditary. What do you mean by closed hereditary?
Closed subset of countably compact space is countably compact space.
Right. Closed subset of a countably compact space is a countably compact. Okay. So what is given to us in this case? X2 is countably compact space. Next one, we have provided one closed subset of this countably compact space. Let E be any closed subset of X2. We have E is any closed subset of a X2. What is our aim to prove that? We have to prove that E is countably compact space. Our aim is to prove that E is countably compact space. That is to prove that. Okay, what is our aim to prove that? We have to just take any subset E of, instead of having E, we will take some another notation. Let us take F is any subset of E, which is infinite subset, and our aim is to prove that derived set of F is non-empty. Correct? Because our aim is to prove that F has a limit point in E. Okay, to prove that F has a limit point in capital E. Okay. First we have X2 is a countably compact space. E is any closed subset of a this countably compact space. Now our aim is to prove that E is countably compact space. So by definition of countably compact space, we have first considered any subset E of any subset E such that that subset is a infinite subset, and our aim is to prove that derived set of F is non-empty. That is to prove that F has a limit point in E. Is it clear up to this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What is given to us? F is any infinite subset of X, because initially F is any infinite subset of E and E is a subset of X. So obviously we can say F is a subset of X. Given that X2 is countably compact. What is given to us? X2 is countably compact. Okay. If X2 is countably compact and F is an infinite subset of X, can I say directly derived set of F, or F has a limit point in X?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, by definition of your countably compact space, just now we have seen, because countably compact का meaning क्या है? If you are having any infinite subset of x, then it has a limit point in x. So which implies I can say that f has limit point in x. So if f has a limit point in x, what is our assumption first? F is any infinite subset of e. This is what our equation 1. So from this equation 1, we can say that f bar is contained in e bar,
Yes,
correct?
ma'am.
Because these are the properties somewhere we have seen in the basic lecture, right? But if given to us, what is given to us? E is closed. What do you mean by E is closed? E is closed if and only if E is equal to E bar, right? On the next line I can write F bar is contained in E because E is equal to E bar. What is your F bar? F bar is F union derived set of F is contained in E. Right, this is what our equation 2. Now from equation 1 and 2, what we can say, f is contained in E and f union derived set of f is contained in E. So can I write from these two equation derived set of f is contained in E?
Yes, ma'am.
So hence what we have written, derived set of f is contained in E, it means that limit points of f is whatever may be the limit points of f is a subset of E. What do you mean by subset? जो भी points आपके derived set of f में है वो obviously it will come there in your E, which means that the limit points of f is in E, which implies f is countably compact in E, and hence the proof. Okay, so what we have started with, we have started with x2 is countably compact. Next is any closed subset of compact space. Our aim is to prove that E is countably compact. To prove any set to be countably compact, we have to consider any infinite subset of that set E. Okay, in this case, we have considered let F be the any infinite subset of E. We have to prove that the limit points of F are there in E. To prove that, we have started with this assumption, and then we are provided that x2 is countably compact, but f is subset of E is subset of x. So we can say f is any infinite subset of x. By definition of countably compact, we have proved that f has a limit point in x. Now just we have to use this condition that E is closed, which implies E is equal to E closure, and hence from these two equation 1 and 2, we have derived set of f is contained in E, which means that the set of limit points of f is subset of E, which means every limit point of f is an element of E, which means f is E is countably compact. Okay, so hence we can say that closed subset of a countably compact space is a countably compact. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am.
So from this we can have again one remark. What will be the remark for this one is, just now we have proved it is closed hereditary. So I can say subset of countably compact space, subset of countably compact space need not be countably compact. Correct? Because as we have proved it is closed heredity, so obviously it will not be true for any subset. Okay, why this is so? Because you can see here this property of a closed set we can use here. If it is closed, then only we can say f bar is contained in E, because initially we have bar is contained in E bar, but given that E is closed, so hence E bar is equal to E. That's why from equation 1 and 2 we have arrived to this conclusion. But if suppose your E is not closed, we cannot use that condition of E is equal to E bar. So hence you can have a remark for this one as a subset of a countably compact space need not be countably compact space. Okay. Now let us go for the next theorem, that is being countably compact spaces topological property. Being a countably compact space is topological property. Okay. As we have seen this type of a statement many times for T naught, T1, T2, T3, then we have seen this for normal space, regular. Okay. So what is a statement? Another statement for this one we can have, let F be the mapping from X to Y in such a way that what is X? X is countably compact space. And what is our aim to prove that Y is also countably compact space? Okay. What is F? F is 1 1 on 2 and open map, or you can say in another way it is 1 1 on 2 continuous and open map. Okay. So given that your X2 is countably compact and we have to prove that Y2 star or Y21 is some another topology, and our aim is to prove that this is also countably compact. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let us start with the assumption that F be a mapping from X to Y such that F is 1 1 onto an open map. Next, to prove that, what is our aim to prove that? Given X2, and let me use some another notation, say Y21. Okay. Sometimes you can have a notation as toe star, but I am not using toe star since it is related to your relative topology or subspace. So that's why we will use some another notation, say Y21. This X2 and Y21 are completely different topologies. Okay. So we have to just prove that Y21 is also a countably compact space. Okay. To prove that Y21 is countably compact. Our aim is to prove that Y21 is a countably compact space. Okay. So how to prove any space to be countably compact? We have to start with the assumption. What is the assumption? Let A be the any infinite subset of Y. We have to consider any infinite subset of Y, and our aim is to prove that. What is our aim to prove that? Derived set of A is there in Y. That means we have to prove that limit points of A are in Y. Okay. Okay, so here we have considered A from this Y to 1, right? Given that F is continuous 1 1 onto open map. And if you are not remembering, just you can say F is homeomorphism. So if A is any infinite subset of Y to 1, so by the this F is homeomorphism, can I say I have one image, pre-image, that is F inverse of A is equal to some set B, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So here B is also infinite subset of, now it is a subset of X because we have considered the pre-image. Here is your and if I apply F inverse, so here I can get F inverse of A is equal to some set B, which is a subset of your X2, right? So now, given that, what is given to us, since X2 is countably compact space, since X2 is countably compact space, then we can use a definition of countably compact if we are able to find out one infinite subset of X2. Okay, but here we have found infinite subset of X. What is that? We have found this with the help of a this set A. F inverse of this set A is equal to some set B. So hence we have B is what? Infinite subset of X, and given that X2 is a countably compact, so that's why we can apply the definition and we can say that derived set of B, or B has a limit point in X. B has a limit point in X, right? To consider this one, we will say that let P be the limit point of B, and P is a limit point of B which is there in capital X. Okay. Now our aim is to prove that. What is our aim? To prove that f of P is a limit point of your set A. And if we are able to prove that f of P is a limit point of A, P was arbitrary point, f of P will be again some arbitrary point, and if we are able to prove this for arbitrary point, hence we can say that your set y2 star, or the sub y2 1 is countably compact. Okay, so we have started with y21 is our aim is to prove that y21 is countably compact space. For that we have considered any infinite subset of y, and hence now with the help of this f is homeomorphism, we have considered f inverse of a is equal to some set b which is infinite subset of x, and hence with the definition of X2 is countably compact, for this set B, we can say that B has a limit point in X. As it has a limit point, we can consider P is a limit point of B which is there in X. So our aim is to prove that f of P is a limit point of A. Okay, if I want to prove that f of P is a limit point of A, how to prove this statement? Hmm.
For all open set, then that open set intersection A minus f of p is not equal to phi.
That is, we have to find out this result for all open set G, or we can consider them to be some member of tau 1, no? So they may be are maybe like f of G, that is image of open set is open set. Why this is so? Because f is open map. F is open map means it maps open sets to open set. Right? For all open set G, we have to consider G intersection with this set A minus the point f of P is not equal to phi. Okay, that is to prove that for all open set G, intersection with A minus that point f of P is not equal to phi. Okay, so for that, let us consider some open set say G star in y21, just to have a notation, difference of notation from x2 and y2 star or y21. So that's why we have selected let G star with the open set in y2 star. So what will be f inverse of G star? It will be some open set in x2. So I have selected f inverse of G star is equal to some set G in x2. Okay, given that P is a limit point of B. If P is a limit point, I can use the definition of a limit point for all open set G intersection with B minus the point P is not equal to phi. So here we can use the definition of a limit point that G intersection B minus the point P is not equal to phi. What do you mean by this whole set is not equal to phi? I can say that at least one point belongs to this set. It is non-empty means Z belongs to some set G intersection with B minus the point, right? Now if Z belongs to this whole set. It means that Z belongs to G intersection with B, and Z belongs to complement of P. What do you mean by Z belongs to complement of me? I can say that Z is not equal to P. Correct? We write down this in another way. Z belongs to G intersection with B. This minus I can write intersection with complement of P. So hence Z is a member of G intersection B as well as it is a member of singleton P, its complement. Okay. So I can say Z is not equal to P and Z is a member of G intersection B. What do you mean by intersection? Member of a intersection? It means that it is a member of both the sets. So from this one, I can say f of z is not equal to f of p,
Yes, ma'am.
right? So f of z is not equal to f of p, and here if we say that z belongs to G intersection B, the same set I can write z belongs to G as well as z belongs to B. So I can write f of z will belongs to f of G as well as f of z belongs to f of B. Correct? So for this one we have found G is a open set in your X2, f of G will be one open set in your Y2. Since f is a open map, it maps open sets to open set. Now we can apply the definition of a limit point in our Y2 one. Okay. So just now we have written G intersection with B minus this point P is not equal to 5. This was given to us. P is a limit point of B. But for same thing we have to do for f of P. Okay, here we have f of P and here we have f of G. F of G is open set in Y intersection with, I can say here A. Correct? Let me show you how it is A. Here we have written this is what A is open set it from Y. So inverse image we have written. So F inverse of A is B. So I can say A is equal to F of B. From this statement I can say F of B is equals to A. So that's why I have written this. A minus this point is not equal to 5. Why this is so? Except this point f of p, we have some another point. What is that another point? F of z, which is a member of this intersection. Okay, now I can say that f of z is a member of f of g as well as it is a member of a. So except this point f of p, I have one more point. So that's why we can say the intersection of set with the open set minus the point f of p is non-empty, which implies f of p is a limit point of a. Okay, hence I can say that derived set of a is non-empty, which implies y2 star, or we can say y2 1 is countably compact space. Okay, any doubt for this one?
No, ma'am.
What we have to do, simply first we have to use a definition of a x2 is a countably compact. Just you have to apply the definition, and we have used the definition of a p is a limit point. Just take the f images and you will get the result. Here we have f of z is a one point except your a point f of p, which is a member of this intersection, and hence we can say the intersection of these two minus that point is non-empty, and hence the result that your y21 is also a countably compact space. Okay, so we have seen that closed hereditary and topological property, and in the starting of this we have seen every compact space is a countably compact, but reverse statement is Not possible. Yes, if you have a doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll go for the next definition, that is continuity. Any doubt?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay. If not, let us go for the next definition, that is continuous function. Already we have seen what is a continuous function in our real analysis. Yes, can anyone tell me definition of continuous function?
At x is equals to a, mod of f of x minus f of a is less than epsilon.
Hmm.
Whenever mod of x minus a is less than delta.
Mod of x minus a is less than delta, right? So what we can say about this one? F is continuous at x na a.
A.
So f is continuous at a if it satisfies the condition that for all epsilon greater than 0 there exists delta greater than 0, such that for this one first we have to check this condition, then whenever, actually हम यहाँ पे लिखते हैं whenever, but actually first we should write down this mod of x minus a is less than delta, then mod of f of x minus f of a is less than epsilon. Okay, what do you mean by this one? I can say this as f of x minus f of a. This is minus epsilon to epsilon, so hence f of x will lie in the region f of a minus epsilon to f of a plus epsilon. Whenever x lies in the interval a minus delta to a plus delta. Okay, so in the notations I can write f of x belongs to f of a minus epsilon to f of a plus epsilon, and x belongs to the interval a minus delta to a plus delta, right? So whenever you are at a point x here, the image f of x will lie in the in the interval f of a minus epsilon to f of a plus epsilon. Okay, this is what the definition we have seen in our real analysis. Now let us see what is the definition of continuous function in our topology. Given that we have f is a mapping from your x to say x star to star, both are some different topologies. Be a mapping, let x belongs to capital X be any point, then f is said to be continuous. F is said to be continuous at a point x belongs to capital X if for any open set G star, if for any open set G star belongs to star containing the point f of x, that is f of x belongs to G star, then there exists, we have to show the existence of open set G containing the point x such that, what, such that f of G is contained in G star. Okay, so first let us read the definition. What is given to us? F is a mapping from x2 to x star to star. Okay, then we say that f is said to be continuous at a point x belongs to capital X if for any open set G star in x star to star. Yeah, that is we have to take an open set G star from x star to star such that f of x must be a member of G star then there exists what there exists, we have to now go back. Okay, there exists open set G in X2 such that which contains your point X and f of G is contained in G star. Okay, now let me show you how it looks in the diagram. Okay, this is what your X2, and suppose this is what your Y star, toe star, or X star, toe star. Right. What was our assumption? Let X be the any point here in X2. And what is given to us initially? F is said to be continuous at a point X if for any open set G star in X star, toe star containing that f of x. Okay, if x is a point here, its image will be your f of x. That f of x must be a member of G star. Correct? What is the consideration then? There exists G belongs to toe such that which contain the point x. Okay, so here we can consider this open set G containing the point x such that f of G is contained in G star. F image of this open set G is contained in your G star. So I can say this is what your f of G which is contained in G star. Okay, have you understood the definition?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, anyone else having a doubt for this one? We have to first start with point x from x2, then we have to find out one G star from 2 star in such a way that which contain the F image of that point, right? Then we should have the existence of one open set G which contain your point X and such that F of G is contained in G star. And if this condition holds, we can say that the mapping F is a continuous mapping. Okay. So let us stop here. In the next lecture, we will see some of the theorems related to your continuous mapping. That means if we will consider let X to be some topological space, that we can consider it to be discrete, indiscrete, or some another topology. It may be T2, T1, this type of a topology. And then we will consider here some another topology, say T naught, T1, or it can be indiscrete T space. And we will discuss if mapping F is a continuous, what will be the effect. Okay, thank you. You can leave the meeting.